Today I want to welcome Michelle Doss. She's the $1 Million Business Mentor. She works with seven-figure business owners and entrepreneurs that are in rapid growth mode. And after 20-plus years as a business strategist and as an executive in the corporate world, and now as an entrepreneur, she has learned one thing for sure. Managing a business is hard work. Time is the most valued commodity. And as your business grows, demands for your time grow with it. That's why she created the seven-figure business model for CEOs and top executives who want to get back to the reason they got into this business in the first place. Today, she's going to share with us insights to get you out of the back room and back in front of your business. And as the leader of your organization, you likely have talents and skills that tend to lead you to strategic planning, business development, and leading a great team. That daily grind of operations and marketing should best be left to those with expertise and a love for working in those areas. So let's jump in and see how you can offload the business burdens from last year and catapult your business growth by getting you back where you belong, out front. Oh, boy, Michelle, do I just echo what you said, because what most entrepreneurs find is they're great at creating things and they're terrible at running things. So you're absolutely 100% right. So, Michelle, who do you help and how do you help them?
Well, as you just mentioned, I help seven-figure business owners, particularly those who are tired of all the parts of the business they don't love. They want to get back to why they got into this business to begin with. So I'm somewhat of an interim chief operating officer, marketing director, and business mentor, all wrapped into one.
So what do you think a difference is? And people ask me this all the time, so I'm very interested in your answer. What is the difference between a business coach and a business mentor?
Well, I'm sure you can find a million different definitions of these two words. And I like to say that a business coach is often a person who puts the question back on you. And I do appreciate the fact that people need to find answers within themselves. So there is some coaching involved in being a mentor as well. But the thing that a mentor has that usually a coach doesn't always have is that business experience. The mentor not only asks you questions, but also has the answers to give you when you don't have the experience to know the answer. So they don't work from a script. They typically use the years of experience and the volume of challenges that they've dealt with over those years to be able to advise you of how to go in whatever direction you're going in for your business. It's someone who's walked the path to help lead the way.
Well, that's good. That's very good. So how did you go from what you were doing in corporate America to getting involved in business mentoring then?
So I was in biotech for over 20 years, and I worked for several startup biotech companies and was involved in building them to multi-million-dollar businesses. And I found that I really enjoyed the startup part of these businesses, and I didn't so much enjoy once they got to be multi-million-dollar businesses. So about 6 or 7 years ago, I was advising and mentoring folks within the biotech arena, and I went and got my coaching certification. And I learned a lot while training to be a coach, and I became a coach to many of the executives within the companies I was working for. What I specifically learned, though, is that just coaching was never going to be enough. I had to use the vast array of experiences that I had built over the years to be able to help them maneuver through the challenges that they were dealing with as executives for a biotech company. So about a year ago, I left the corporate world to go to the entrepreneurial world because I really wanted that. I wanted to be around the kind of people that entrepreneurs are, that creative passion and love for their business. So I became the $1 Million Business Mentor a year ago, and I have since enjoyed every minute, every step of the way.
Well, do you think that, I don't know, do you think that a business mentor makes a good coach? And do you think a business coach could make a great business mentor?
I think if you combine what I have defined as the two specialties of what those words mean, I think you can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself, as long as it's that you're giving the right kind of help to the people that need it. So for me, there are a lot of coaches out there now that have been trained to be a coach, and they just ask these questions of you. And I think if you're a seven-figure business owner, you're going to need more than that. You're going to need somebody who's been through it before, somebody who has walked the walk, somebody who has dealt with the challenges that a business goes through, whether it's the marketing and sales part, the back business, the financials, the understanding what your key performing indicators are, meaning your main numbers for your business. All those kinds of things are important. And if you're just trained as a coach and you never actually done that, I don't think that would serve a seven-figure business owner well.
Well, I know that you think there's a big difference between the entrepreneurial world and the corporate world, as I do too, because, in the corporate world there's a hierarchy and you still have to answer to a lot of people. In the entrepreneurial world, you make decisions very quickly and you move on. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. But what have you found to be the biggest difference between the two worlds?
I like what you said about that. The difference is often bureaucratic in the corporate world. Decisions are made by teams or multiple layers. The decisions are slower to be made. Processes are slower. So you can really turn on a dime in the entrepreneurial world as long as you have the right people in the right place. The thing that big business does often is it vets decisions well. Although it takes a while, the decisions are usually pretty well vetted. Within the entrepreneurial world, you have a smaller group, often maybe one person making a decision, and you may not be fully vetted with that decision. So the risk is higher often for a big decision. Also in the corporate world, you have people that are business background people that may not understand the technology or the whole original purpose of the business as well. In the entrepreneurial world, the owner of the business knows full well what that business is all about. They keep the culture within everything they say, everything they do, and it's a tight ship, from my opinion.
So I know you feel, and I've heard this many times, so I'm really curious about this. Why do you think so many business owners hit a leadership ceiling at the $1 million mark?
That's such a good question. So my observation is that getting a business to seven figures is a lot of adrenaline and a lot of energy and a lot of hard work. And you hit that ceiling, though. What happens when you hit that ceiling is you've built this small, tight ship around you, and you've been able to really run it on a wish and a prayer almost, and at the neglect of the business side of your business. So what I see so many really smart and creative entrepreneurs doing is getting themselves into a situation where they have no more time to give. They haven't hired a team of people, and they haven't put the business structures in place to support a $1 million business. And as they continue to look at the revenues that are coming in, which is the main number I see entrepreneurs looking at, they really don't understand their bottom line or their profits. And they don't understand how to hire a team and how to make this whole thing go forward to be a multi-million-dollar business.
It is interesting because, as you're getting up there, of course, I've also heard that people say, making your first million is the hardest, and then getting to your next million is much easier. And then they said there's another block when you get to 5 million, and then jumping to 10 million, and then it's any place from that point on. But I know that one of the things that entrepreneurs find very difficult to do is to delegate, because they've always done it and they know how to do it, and they think they have all the answers, and it is hard for them to build a team around them. But those that do, and especially if there's a team where everybody does something better at something than someone else, so they all can work together, it's just the end, I think, as far as getting to be the most successful you can be. So why do you think that hiring a business mentor makes people more successful?
It's a fresh set of eyes. It's somebody who can ask you the tough questions that somebody on your team's not going to ask you. It's a person that can brainstorm with you, a person that can see what's going on within the business that you may not be able to see. It's a person that can take the emotion out of what decision making has happened already and that may happen in the future, and a person that can help you set the vision for the company in a sound, strategic manner. There's so many.
You just said a very important thing, I think, Michelle, and that's taking the emotion out of it. We who build businesses, we do get so involved with them. I mean, and it's hard sometimes because those are our hot buttons, and that's our baby that we're dealing with. And it's very hard to have somebody hit us over the head and say, let's take a real good look at this. You need to look at this in a different way, and it takes somebody like you to be able to do that because you don't have any skin in the game, so to speak. So you did mention that you measure, of course, finances and money. What else do you measure when you go in as a mentor?
Well, in the beginning, we look at all the numbers and even places you're not measuring. So we look at, of course, sales and marketing. We look at your overhead, which a lot of folks don't look at. That's a number I see so many entrepreneurs not really looking at. We look at your revenues, your profit and loss, and we also look at what the satisfaction of your team, and that includes your internal and your external team. So a lot of entrepreneurs have external vendors or consultants, if you will. And so we also look at the satisfaction of that relationship. We look at customer satisfaction, and then we build a dashboard, much like, and this is, what I learned in the corporate world, is we build a dashboard so that the owner of the business, or if there's partners, the owners of the business, have a quick, easy way to keep an eye on the business. And if anything, any of the smaller numbers underneath that funnel up into the large numbers on the dashboard have a problem, that dashboard indicator is going to change, and you're going to be able to see it, and then you can delve into the smaller numbers. So you don't have to keep your hand on the pulse of every single number as a CEO, but the people underneath you should. But you do have that dashboard to be able to look at.
And of course, that goes to the being able to hire the right people and fire the people who aren't right. Do you help with that at all?
Absolutely. Gail, that's one of the most important things that I see entrepreneurs not understanding how to do. It is one of the most expensive things to do is to hire the wrong person, especially if you're a person that struggles to let somebody go, to fire them. So it's so important that you have the right structure and process in place to hire people. You need to understand exactly what job description needs to be written, what job postings need to be written, how you interview a person, how you decide, how you vet whether they fit within your culture or not, and the rest of your team. So
I do think that, I think that fitting with the team and the culture is so key. And of course, a friend of mine always says, hire slow and fire fast. And of course, we do just the opposite. But it is hard to know who's going to fit in. And the other interesting thing, Michelle, is that I think that, when people get locked into a job title, or a job description, and then they were asked to do something else, sometimes it's difficult. And, you grow with your job. I mean, what I may be hired for today is not necessarily what I need to be doing tomorrow, just because the company may be diversifying, or they may be going in a different direction, or new technology comes up, or whatever it is. But very seldom do you today find people doing the same job that they were hired to do originally. And that's the toughest thing, I think, in hiring people, is seeing someone who may not have the skills, but if you have the right attitude and you have the passion and you have the drive and the ambition, very often you can be trained to do that new job.
You're so right, Gail. To find that person that has that entrepreneurial spirit that wants to wear multiple